Good morning. Today is Wednesday, June 26th, 2024. Today I have 5 more short, practical strategies to enhance our prayer. And again, this is partially based on a fantastic lecture I heard a few years ago from Rabbi Marc Penner. Yesterday I shared 3. This is number 4. And someone else mentioned this yesterday, and it's very important. Find places to connect with God outside of prayer. The synagogue or prayer service should not be the only place that we encounter God. And I want to challenge you, and I want to challenge me, find the time during the day, wherever you are, to connect to God. Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg once wrote, if you never talk to God outside of shul, it's difficult to connect to God in shul. If you never talk to God without a siddur, a prayer book, it is very hard. You are feeling like you're talking to God with the prayer book. Everywhere we go, everything we see, it expresses God. The beauty of the natural world, the kindness of a human being, the intricacy of our bodies. Wherever we go, whatever we see, there's a moment to connect to God. And if we make use of those moments throughout our day, don't reserve prayer for specific times and specific formulas. Look for ways to connect to God in every possible situation. And that will deepen the experience of prayer at all times. In other words, invite God to be part of your world. Invite God to be part of every part of your world, every aspect of your world. And when you do that, you eventually come to realize that you don't have to do it alone. And it could be a situation where you're facing a major crisis in life. And it could be a situation where you have a flat tire. You're not facing it alone. Number 5. So this is a great story that Rabbi Penner told. It goes like this. He has a friend. And this friend will not kill bugs. If there are bugs in his house, he will not kill them. He will chase around and catch the bug and release it. Okay, it's a very humane thing to do. Okay, but that's what he does. This friend is very particular and fastidious about this. So once it happened that his friend was chasing a bug. It was a big, ugly bug, and it was in his house, and he was chasing it to capture it and to release it. I assume the bug didn't know that that's what he had in mind, but he couldn't get to the bug. Wherever he moved his hand, the bug would crawl away very quickly. And he's running around this room trying to get the bug. It keeps crawling away. And then finally, this man has the bug cornered, right, into a corner. And there's no way out for this bug. He just has to reach out his hand and grab it. And all of a sudden, this bug lifts up its wings and flies away over his head. So the man is very frustrated, and he says to the bug, he was so frustrated he was talking to the bug. He says to the bug, why did you put yourself in danger so many times? Every time I reached for you, you crawled away. But if you're able to fly, why didn't you just fly for the first time over my head? You would have been free right at the beginning. Why did you allow me to keep chasing after you, and you were in danger over and over again, and only at the final moment did you fly away? It makes no sense, bug. He said to the bug. But aren't we that bug? isn't it common for many of us, all too many of us, that we turn to God only at the last moment? Only when nothing else seems to help? But that's not the way it should be. We should turn to God first. It should be our first defense against what's happening, not last resort. The Rav Yosef Soloveitchik writes, Tefillah hi pgisha romantis im hashchina. Prayer is a romantic encounter with our beloved. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tamid nimsa. God is always available. Umechake lanu. And God is waiting for us to turn to God. Pgisha im hashchina. And this encounter with our beloved, with God's presence, zu mahus hatfila. This is the essence of prayer. Again, not as a last resort, not only after we've tried everything else, but first, turn to God. And that turning to God is prayer. Number 6, what Rabbi Penner said was very, very surprising to hear him say this. So he was speaking about himself, he was speaking personally, and he said, the greatest moment in prayer for him, this is Rabbi Penner, the greatest moment in prayer for him, he said, is when I realize that I'm not concentrating. I mean, how is that the greatest moment? We're supposed to not do that. We're supposed to concentrate. No. And by the way, if this is his greatest moment, I'm in good shape because I have lots and lots of those moments. Okay, but this is what he said. Listen to how he explains it. The greatest moment in his prayer is when he realizes that he is not concentrating, because that moment can be the most powerful when I realize that I'm lost, I'm distracted, I'm worried about something else, and I can get back on track. How? How do I get back on track? So this is what Rabbi Penner suggests. And again, he is speaking to himself. So I'm going to use his word, speaking to myself. He would say to himself, and I should say to myself, I find that I'm in the middle of the Amidah. I find that I've been distracted and I'm thinking about some problem, some issue, some worry that has nothing to do with prayers. And I say to myself, using Rabbi Penner's words, you idiot, Michael Whitman, you idiot, you're standing before God, the one who can actually help with this problem. You're distracted because you're worried about a doctor's appointment later in the day that you have to go to. So turn your prayer back to praying for that doctor's appointment, that it should go well. You're worried because something has gone wrong in your house and you have to take care of it. Pray to God that you'll have help to take care of it. Whatever it is that is distracting you, let that be the motive to come back into encounter with God. Because I'm standing here in the middle of the Amidah, in the middle of prayer. I have this opportunity of an encounter with God. Wow, what greater resource can there be for any single problem that I have than God? Turn to God with it. I also, by the way, heard this insight from Rabbi Yehuda Amital a number of years ago. Don't be upset that you become distracted. Use the distraction to bring you back. Whatever it is that has distracted you, focus on how you bring that issue into your encounter with God. Number 7, this is very powerful. We have this image of God, of prayer, of the Amidah, where our physical movements mirror and help to deepen what we are feeling in prayer. So when we begin the Shemona Esrei, the Amidah, we take 3 steps forward. And then when we finish, we take three steps back. We're entering God's presence at the beginning, and then we're leaving God's presence at the end. Rabbi Penner said, I imagine to myself when I take 3 steps forward, I'm walking into God's office. I have an appointment. I'm walking into God's office to discuss whatever is on my mind. When I take 3 steps back, well, that means I'm leaving God's office. I had a certain amount of time with God. I walked in, I spoke with God, and now I'm leaving. But Rabbi Penner said, imagine this. Imagine that when you take the 3 steps back, imagine that God is walking you out the door with you. Imagine that when you finish prayer, you are not leaving God, but rather God is escorting you out in order to accompany you on the rest of your day, wherever you go. When our prayer ends, our encounter with God need not end. If we think of ourselves as walking out of God's office, then the encounter has ended. But if we think that God is escorting us out and accompanying us, then wherever we go during the day, God is with us. And those opportunities for prayer and connection with God in every kind of single moment become possible, become realistic, become meaningful. In other words, when we finish the prayer service, God comes with us, and I have the realization that I am not in this alone, that God is coming with me when I finish my prayer. And that feeling is itself the essence of prayer. I'm going to mention one more, and this is something that I was so impressed with when I heard it. I initiated it at ADATH every Shabbos morning. I'm sorry to say that for the last number of months we have not been doing it, and that's just because of me and things that were going on with me, but I do hope to bring this back. The suggestion is like this. This is not necessarily something that a person can do on their own, but this is a really magnificent idea for a shul. In many shuls, there's the Musaf prayer. Before the Musaf prayer, we say Kaddish. The Chazan or the Shliach Tzibur says Kaddish. Often in many shuls, there's a rabbi who speaks or someone who gives a Dvar Torah, someone who speaks. Okay, if that's the order, then try this. So the rabbi finishes speaking. And then there's an announcement. We will take 15 seconds of silence before the Chazan says Kaddish. 15 seconds of silence to focus on entering intimacy with God. 15 seconds of silence to focus on walking into God's office, to focus on rising above the clouds, as we said yesterday, to focus on meeting my beloved. 15 seconds of silence to let us focus on that. And then the Kaddish, and then the Musaf prayer, which now is ready for the intimacy, the romantic encounter that we are given as a gift through prayer. As I said to you before, these are walking sticks. These are strategies, practical ideas to help make our prayer what it is supposed to be. And again, I will suggest to you, try one of them. Take one that appeals to you, or try more than one, and do it at your own pace, maybe one at a time. Do one for a week. Try another one for a week. And I would appreciate it if you let me know how it affects your prayer. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.